When I was a kid, there wasn't much to do where we lived, so my brothers, sisters, and I spent most of our time outside. Our backyard had an old trampoline with noisy, creaky springs. We had so much fun on it, laughing, wrestling, and playing games. But one day, things changed. It started when my little cousin, Jake, pointed at something near the trampoline. "Look!" he shouted, excited. At first, we didn't see it, but when we got closer, we froze. It was a dead crow. A big black crow lying on the ground, its feathers spread out like it had fallen from the sky. But it was strange. The crow didn't smell bad, wasn't rotting, and didn't have any injuries. It just lay there, perfectly preserved. Jake, always getting into mischief, thought it would be funny to kick the bird towards us. My sister screamed and I told him to stop, but he just laughed and kicked it closer. "It's just a bird," he said, not realizing how creepy it was. Suddenly, our dog, Kiba, ran over. Kiba was protective and usually chased squirrels and barked at anything unusual. But this time, he gently picked up the crow in his mouth and carried it to the edge of the driveway. He put it down and just stared at it for a long time, his tail still and his body tense. After that, none of us wanted to touch it. The crow stayed there for days, even weeks. It never decayed or attracted flies. It just sat there, like it was, waiting for something. We always walked around it. Even Kiba, who loved to dig and chew on things, stayed away after that first day. One weekend, my Aunt Tina and Uncle Tiger visited. My aunt saw the crow and made a face. "Why haven't you gotten rid of that thing? It's disgusting," she said, wanting to throw it into the woods. My Uncle Tiger shook his head, looking serious. "Don't touch it," he said. "You don't know what kind of bad luck might be connected to it." My aunt rolled her eyes but didn't argue. The next day, she and my uncle got into a car accident. They were okay, but their car was totaled, and my aunt broke her wrist. I couldn't help but think the crow had something to do with it. Later, a family friend named Hamp came over to fix our plumbing. While he worked, my mom asked him to get rid of the crow. "I'll take care of it," he said confidently. "I'll throw it in the woods." When he picked it up, we saw maggots under, the crow crawling in the dirt. But the bird itself was still perfectly preserved. Hamp didn't seem to mind. He took the crow into the woods, and we thought that was the end of it. But minutes later, we saw something new in the exact spot where the crow had been. It was a dead bluebird lying in the same position. My heart sank. It was the same bluebird that had been trying to get into our house for months, tapping on the windows and flying around the porch. Now it was dead. Over the next few days, strange things happened. We didn't want to go near the trampoline anymore. We heard rustling under it at night, but there was never anything there. Kiba started acting weird, barking at empty corners of the yard and avoiding the driveway. Even inside, we felt like we were being watched. One night, I woke up to tapping on my bedroom window. I was too scared to move. The tapping was slow and steady. When I finally looked, I saw nothing. But as I turned away, I heard it again, faster this time. It didn't stop until morning. The next morning, we found another dead bird on the driveway, a sparrow lying where the bluebird had been. Like the crow, it showed no signs of rotting. My mom called Hamp. He sounded confused. "I threw it in the woods," he said. "But I think I heard something following me back to the house, probably just an animal." We didn't believe him. This kept happening for weeks. Every time a bird was moved, another appeared. The uneasy feeling in our house grew stronger. We stopped playing outside. The trampoline sat unused. Even Kiba hid under the porch most of the time. Finally, my mom called a pastor to bless our property. He walked around with a Bible and holy water, praying quietly. When he got to the driveway, he stopped and frowned. "Something happened here," he said, pointing to where the crow had first been. "Something unnatural." He didn't say anything else, but after his blessing, the birds stopped appearing. The scary feeling went away, and things went back to normal. But I'll never forget how he looked at that spot, like he could see something we couldn't. To this day, I don't know what happened. Was the crow cursed? A warning? All I know is that it scared our family, and we'll never forget it. And sometimes, late at night, I still hear tapping on my window.